Welcome to Let's Talk. My name is Jennifer, and I'm so honored to be your host tonight. I'm going to be joined shortly with my dear friends April and John. Tonight, we're talking about tracking. Element 13 in our life book, of course, being the wonderful guide that Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson created for us to navigate creating health and well-being in our lives. It is such a wonderful tool to be able to do that, but we do need to track. And so that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. I'm going to bring on our friends shortly, but let's just kind of set the stage this evening because I want you to know that tracking isn't just about numbers. It's about awareness. It's about progress and giving ourselves the gift of clarity. When we track, we shine a light on where we're winning and where we may need a little extra support. Now, speaking of winning, tell me in the chat, where have you been winning in your health lately? Where have you been winning today? Where have you been winning this weekend? I'd love to see that in the chat. And if you're joining us tonight by podcast or watching the replay, just think in your head, how have I been winning? We're so good at finding all the things we're not doing well, but I want you to celebrate tonight where you have been winning. Now, as we set the stage and we think about tracking, I want to invite you to think about tracking a little bit like a GPS. Now, if you've got a destination, you're trying to head somewhere, but you don't know the exact address and you just hop in the car, well, chances are you're not going to necessarily know how to get there, and you may or may not end up at your desired location, right? But if you have the address, if you get in your car and maybe you're using Waze or Google Maps, thank goodness we don't have the Thomas Guide anymore, flipping that pages and figuring out all those, that old school. But what's wonderful about Google's Maps and using your GPS is it's probably going to help you navigate around traffic, and it's really going to help you get to your destination. That's how we really want to think about tracking, is as a way to get to your destination. But I also want to set the scene and have a really honest conversation tonight. I want to be really honest and I'm just curious if there's anyone else out there like me, where when you hear the word tracking, there might be a little bit of resistance. Would you say there might be a little bit of resistance? Let's talk about it. Let's just kind of get it over with. And if anything that I share is something that you can feel connected about, just write connected in the chat. Or if you're watching the replay or listening to the replay, just think, yeah, I can connect with that. Maybe when you think about tracking, it's the report card syndrome. Tracking can feel like being graded. Some of us grew up where every report card or chore chart was tied to approval or maybe punishment. Can you relate to that? Or maybe tracking feels like perfection pressure. Maybe you had parents or teachers who only notice mistakes. Or maybe you've been in a comparison trap. Siblings or classmates when you were younger that you might have been compared to. I'm thinking like gold stars. Now, I have 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. My oldest, 20, who's now 25, and my middle one, who's now 21. In our school system, blue stars were the thing. That was the highest part. And my girls were always coming home with blue stars. And then there was my son, who this Sunday is his 18th birthday. He's going to be a senior starting this week. Don't know how that's possible. But he was always coming home with the red stars. Wah, wah, wah. And he was always being compared to his sisters. And it's okay. He's fine. He's good. And I'm excited, yet a little bit sad for his starting his senior year. But has anybody else ever felt that when you think about comparing yourself to other people? And so maybe you think about tracking like that. You're comparing yourself to other people. And of course, we know comparison is the thief of joy, right? And of course, as we grew up into adulthood, maybe you think about tracking at work. Maybe you feel micromanaged at work. Some had or still have bosses who track every move, and it turns tracking into a tool for criticism instead of growth. Maybe for some of you, when you think about tracking, it gives you perfectionist paralysis. Perfectionist paralysis. Any other perfectionists out there? Like you're thinking, well, if I can't do it perfectly, I'd rather not track at all, right? Or maybe you feel like I just don't want to be controlled. For some, tracking feels like giving up freedom or spontaneity, right? Like it's going to box you in. Well, tonight I'm going to encourage you, if you have resonated or felt connected to any of those scenarios, I want to encourage you to reframe tracking. Tracking isn't about judgment, it's simply about awareness. It's not a report card, it's a flashlight. It's not your boss breathing down your neck. It's your future self just cheering you on. And it's your GPS helping you to truly, truly help you get where you want to go. So let's talk about what the life book says. Okay. Dr. Anderson says that tracking is what allows you to take personal responsibility for your actions. He says in element 13 in that life book, taking full responsibility for yourself is the one thing that you must do that no one else can do for you. You must own what you eat, how you move, how you sleep, and how you handle stress by integrating your mind. So I'm curious tonight, how many of you are actually tracking your journey? Just put in the chat, or again, just think about it in your mind. But if you're joining us live tonight, let us know. Where are you? Are you tracking at all? B, are you tracking your weight only? C, do you just track changes each month? Or are you somebody who tracks it all? Your weight, your food, your water, your movement. Share with us what you do. There's another famous statistician, Carl Pearson, and he was spot on when he said that which is measured improves. So I think when we can just shine that spotlight on, hey, is there an area in my life that I want to improve? Hey, that's all we're doing here. No judgment. I love in the beginning of the life book when Dr. Anderson sets the stage there. In the introduction, he has a wonderful story about a mason jar. And I'm not going to share it tonight. You guys can check it out yourself. And by the way, if you don't have a life book, connect with the person who invited you tonight and get that resource. But he talks about in the mason jar, putting in the habits of health as your priority of things to focus on. And the things that will put all of us, when we think about setting your GPS and creating and heading on a road towards better health, the things that are important to you, the 6 macro habits that will either put us on a path towards health or a path towards disease are going to be healthy weight management, healthy surroundings, the habits of healthy movement, healthy sleep, healthy mind, and healthy eating and hydration. These are the habits that we really want to focus on and track. So to help us do that tonight, as we talk about tracking, I'm going to invite my friends April and John tonight. We're going to be talking and focusing on Real Talk about our focusing primarily on a wonderful tool, and that's our OPTAVIA app. But before we dive into that, first of all, welcome April and John. I'd love to have you both share a little bit about yourselves, a little bit about your relationship with tracking. Like, have you, haven't you? April, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about your health journey, and then tell us what your thoughts are about tracking.
Thanks, Jen. Yeah, I started this journey actually 10 years ago when I was 60. I'm 71 now. And I will tell you, when I first started, we did not have an app to do any tracking. I ended up losing 40 pounds in 4 months doing this program, and I've pretty much kept it off for 10 years. but I would say that tracking was a critical part for me. So when I started, I just used the back of the OPTAVIA guide to write everything down and to keep track. Some people are very much pen and paper type people. So if you want to use the back of your OPTAVIA guide, you could do that. If you go to habitsofhealth.com, they've got forms in there that you can print out. You can use that, or you can just use a paper and pencil. I just wish that we'd had the app when I was doing it at first because it just makes it so much more convenient. John, what about you? Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, my name is John Leeper, and I've started my health journey 5 years ago. And I started it so that I didn't have to go on to blood pressure medication and cholesterol meds. And also, I needed to lose some weight. I was pretty much at my heaviest weight. And within 2 months, I had dropped 40 pounds, and I was never put on any kind of medications. And now, 5 years later, I just continue to optimize, and we've had a great journey. I did it with my family, my wife and my daughter. And if you know my wife, she's great at systems and tracking and all of that stuff. Well, I, on the other hand, am not. And so I hadn't ever tracked anything. And what they had said before, what gets measured, what gets measured improves, right? Well, I didn't really want to measure my health because I knew it wasn't great. And so I was avoiding it. But through tracking, through measuring our hydration, our sleep, our lean and green meals, weighing everything, what we were eating each day, I really saw that the program worked. And it really made me a believer in tracking. And so to this day, we continue to do that. And I'll tell you, now that we get to carry this app in our pocket or in our purse, it makes the tracking so much easier. And I'm just excited to, get deeper into this tonight with you guys.
Oh, I love it. What great stories of transformation, and love that you have become open to tracking. And yes, April, I really love that you mentioned, there's not a right or a wrong. We just want to encourage whatever works for everybody tonight to just be open to tracking. But we are going to focus the next part of our presentation on the app because it is a beautiful tool that OPTAVIA has created for us. And so I will mention that if you are listening to this, through the podcast, you might want to come back at some point just from the visual standpoint so that you can really see all the beautiful benefits of what we're going to be sharing. It's a little slide heavy, but the first thing I just want to mention is if you don't already have the app, you can download it. It's available for Apple and Android. I do want to remind you, you do need to have an OPTAVIA account. So if you don't have that, connect with the person who invited you here so that you can create that. But this app is how you will track those habits. And that's going to be that GPS to help you get where you want to go. So once you do that, then you're going to want to navigate on your app to My Journey. And the first thing that we really want to encourage you to do is to start with your why. Where is your destination? What's important to you? Why are you creating health? And when that is at the front and center of everything that you are headed for, it's on those days that maybe it's a little bit harder, that why is going to remind you. But basically on your journey, you're going to enter all of your health details and your body measurements. Make sure you measure because there's going to be some weeks where, guess what? The scale won't move. But when you are measuring those inches, the inches will be fallen off. And you know what? To be honest, I care more about the inches than what the scale says. The scale is sometimes going to be measuring, stress, or maybe you had too much sodium the night before. But those inches do not lie. And that represents that fat is melting off of your body. So don't forget to measure. Also, this is a place in My Journey where you can take photos. You're gonna really see a difference when you can track those photos. So what's beautiful is that as you log all of this information, that you will see progress over time. And there is a place where you can even share your progress with your coach. Or if you have an accountability buddy, share it with them. Now, I want to take a moment here to remind you, nobody's journey is ever perfect, okay? Don't not track because you don't want to see the ups and downs. John, I really appreciate what you said earlier, like, oh, I don't want to see, right? And so you didn't want to write the things down. We think that it's going to be a straight road. Friends, that is just not life. Just remember, it's merely feedback to the choices that we are making. And that's what allows us to course correct. And that is living in the empowerment triangle that allows us to be able to course correct. So once you've put in all those details, it's time to get tracking. April, let's talk a little bit about what we can do on the day-to-day basis.
Okay, Jen. And like you said, track daily. Whether no matter what you're doing, just go ahead and track daily. You're going to be so happy you did. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on today. You're going to go to meal tracking. You're going to set your notifications. And then you're going to set the first meal and times in between the meals. And just remember, some days may be different. Think through your day. Ask, how can I fuel my body today to get everything in that you need? So every day you get a clean slate to make good choices. And then as you log throughout the day, it's going to keep track. And for those of you that are on the 5 and 1, you can hide nutrition because you don't really need to track that, just that you get all your 5 fuelings in and your lean and green in. Also, that you're going to get your hydration in, your motion. And for motion, you can actually integrate that information with other apps on your phone, such as Apple Health or your Smart Scale or something like that. And then the journal part. Take time to notice how you feel, especially if it impacted your choices for the day. So remember, no judgment, just learning. So, John, when we're tracking our meals, particularly our lean and greens, let's talk about recipes because I know this is one of your favorite parts.
Yeah, so I was great at grilling, but I could not follow a recipe and I didn't even know where to look for recipes. So this has been a game changer for me because it puts all of the recipes in one place. So down at the bottom, there's a tab that says recipes. So you just click on that tab. And then once you're in that tab, you can browse by different categories. So if you're looking for a breakfast meal or a lunch meal or dinner meal, you can do it by that way. You can search by proteins or vegetables, whatever you may have. There's also like dietary restrictions. And one of my favorites is how much time do we have to prep this, and cook it? Is it 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes? We can search that way also. So really any parameter that you want to search, it's there, and then it will just, it will come up. The the one thing I want to say is there a special recipe that anybody that has been looking in the app or has used the app, is there a recipe that you found that you just really love? If so, go ahead and drop that in there. We'd love to see that. And we kind of want to get everybody's mouth watering. I know it might be around dinner time. Some people haven't eaten yet. So let's get them excited for dinner. The other thing is I want to tell you that there's hundreds of recipes in here. Okay. And some of the recipes even came from the Culinary Institute of America. And you may say, well, what's that? I said, what's that? But it really is like the Harvard of culinary schools. And so when you're getting recipes from them, you know it's going to be tasty. And the beautiful thing is, it's also healthy. So that's just, one more thing that we can say, hey, thanks OPTAVIA for putting that in the app. Now, I'm going to encourage you, spend time in there. Do it after you've had your lean and green. I don't want to, get things going, but after you're full, go in there and start looking at recipes for your next meal or next week. We always did it a week in advance, and it really kind of sets us up for success. Or what you can do, and this is what we did the other day, is we go up to the search button and we had leftover spaghetti squash. And so we put spaghetti squash in, the search and it populated a bunch of recipes. And we wanted something that was going to be light and kind of, good for the summertime. And we found this recipe, and I'm going to read it verbatim so I don't get the wrong name. It's lemon chicken spaghetti squash with spinach and tomato, and it was absolutely great. Okay. But here's what we have to do. We go and we pick that, and then there's 3 of us in the house that are eating because we all eat healthy. So we go up and we change the serving size to 3. So that's going to give you the exact ingredients for the serving size for 3 people. Now, if there's only 1 of you and you want to put 2 so that you can split it in half and have some for tomorrow, that is great. Just don't eat it all at once. I'm going to tell you, it might be so good that you want to do that. So don't do that. And the other beautiful thing about it is that you can then take that recipe and forward it to yourself or to the other 3 people, for us, that live in the home. And that way, one person can go to the store and get the ingredients, bring it home. We may be on a Zoom call, somebody else is downstairs cooking. It just really helps everybody stay above the line. We don't have any arguing. And when everybody's done, so is dinner. So it makes it just like seamless, right? So the last thing I want to touch on is the fact that there are lean and green meals, and then there's lean and green plus. And if you are on the 5-in-1, we want to make sure that you are not in the lean and green plus meal selection. That's reserved for people that are on GLP-1 program or that are in optimization. Okay, so make sure that if you are on the 5-in-1, that you are in the lean and green tab for the meals. Now, April, what would be your favorite recipe that you found in the app?
Well, I'll tell you, last night I made that chicken recipe that you talked about. It was absolutely incredible. But I would say 2 of my favorites would have to be the spinach frittata and also the spaghetti squash lasagna. It was so, so good. Jen, what would a favorite one of yours be?
Well, you just mentioned that the spaghetti squash lasagna, probably one of my faves. I also love the beef and Chinese broccoli. That's one of my faves. And then the air fryer popcorn shrimp salad. Oh, like my mouth is drooling. Sorry, John. Like it is my dinner time, but I will do that, fuel my body after this webinar. But I love it, you guys.
I haven't
Okay,
made
you
that one yet.
okay.
I am gonna have to do that. Hey, John, another part that I wanted to talk about tonight is the Learn tab, which is at the bottom of the app. All right. So here you can find so many more additional tools for your journey. You'll see that we have different program guides, but of course, talk to your coach because you don't want to be doing a program that you haven't talked over with your coach. But it's so, so exciting. John,
April, wait,
tell us.
you have to understand though that like the buzz around the new stuff that's in the app is actually the Habits of Health audiobook being in there now. It's like having Dr. A in your ear while you go on your walk. He's there with you. I can't tell you how many of our clients and coaches have been asking for this, and now it's here. We are all just super excited about this.
Yeah, what I love about it is that you can start listening to it, and wherever you stop, you can just pick right back up, and it starts right where you stop. It's wonderful.
Yes, they've done a great job.
Oh my goodness. I love because listen, I was a former music teacher, and one of the things that I learned is that there are different ways to learn. There's auditory, there's visual, there's kinesthetic. And I've been coaching for about 10 years myself. And on this journey, we're going to be on this journey forever and always. Are we going to be on a weight loss phase forever and always? Not necessarily. Hopefully not, right? But will we be an OPTAVIAN, somebody who is learning and implementing all of these tools and tracking so that we can course correct because life happens, right? Absolutely. So, who else here is going to be an OPTAVIAN and tracking the rest of their lives? I hope all of us. But we always want to continue to learn and grow. We have wellness integration now. We call them win calls. We have our Monday night webinars, our real talks like this. We have Dr. A's life book and the habits of health, and to have that auditory Dr. A, as you said, reading to us, what a wonderful way to continue to learn. As we start to wrap up, one other point that I want to highlight this evening is also on the bottom of that app is your account. Of course, there's ways to edit your Premier Plus and to manage that, but a really awesome addition is a way to connect with OPTAVIA. OPTAVIA is here to serve and to help and to guide us. First of all, they welcome our feedback. If you have something you want to see improved about the app, share your feedback. But also, if you want to talk to somebody on the nutrition support team, this is a great way to message them. You can text them directly by just hitting that account button. You can click message us. You will be connected with them. So many wonderful resources. And again, OPTAVIA is here to serve us, to help us, because that was Dr. Anderson's heart and his hope for all of us, that we truly would learn these habits of health, implement these habits of health, so that we can be on this road, imperfect as it is. It's never about perfection, but just implementing by tracking these habits so that we can course correct as needed, so we can create a life around what matters most to us. April and John, thank you so much for joining us tonight and navigating through this awesome tool we have. All right. Well, you guys, as we wrap up this evening, I just want to remind you that we do have our Optimal Health Community Let's Talk on podcast. You can find that and make sure that you share that with your friends and family. And we want to invite you to our Let's Talk next week. The last Monday of every month is our Health Pros Live. It's your opportunity to ask questions and get some answers regarding anything to do with OPTAVIA, with health, so you can send those into your coach or into our community. We hope that you will join us next week for Let's Talk. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next week. Good night, everybody.